7 Dark Facts About the Princess Diana Tragedy Part 3. I'm not necessarily endorsing these theories, I'm just sharing them. There's definitely a handful of things surrounding her death that are pretty sketchy. I'll start with the letter that she wrote to her butler 4 years before she died, saying, "My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury." That is pretty damn specific. And it's no secret that her marriage with Prince Charles was pretty volatile, and she noted in her diary pretty often that the Queen didn't like her. And apparently his dad, Prince Philip, who was married to Queen Elizabeth, was a racist raised by his aunt who married one of Hitler's generals. So when Diana started dating 2 Muslim guys after Prince Charles, they had an issue with that because she was still heavily involved with the family. And whoever she married and had kids with would have a direct effect on the royal family. And remember this guy, Dr. Hasnat Khan, that she dated right after Prince Charles? Well, apparently they were madly in love, but he didn't want to marry her because of her royal ties. And maybe he had like an idea of what would happen to him if he got involved too deeply. So she dumped him and then started dating Dodi Fayed, who was also Muslim, and his dad is the one who ended up creating a whole investigation after the death because he's convinced that his son and Diana were murdered. She had been seeing Dodi for about 6 weeks before she died, and she said that there was a big announcement coming. Some think that announcement was that they were about to get married and also that she was pregnant. And that's because Dodi's dad Muhammad said that they called him earlier that day and told him that they were getting engaged. But that would mean that Dodi be directly tied in with the royal family. And Diana had told Muhammad, which was Dodi's dad, that the royal family was pretty racist. So one of the main theories is that the royal family put a hit on Diana and hired MI6 to do it. So as the theory goes, as soon as Prince Philip heard the news that Diana and Dodi were engaged and that she was pregnant, he ordered the hit with MI6. That way they could do it before she made the press release telling the news. And he likely heard this through wiretapping. They hired MI6, which is essentially the CIA over there, and they said they had to make it look natural. So this is where this guy comes into play, Henry Paul. He was the driver that died. Now this is fact. So his official job was head of security at the Ritz, which was owned by Dodi's dad. What people didn't know is he was an informant for MI6 for over 10 years. He was off duty that night and shouldn't have been working, and also it's not in his job detail to drive, but he still did that night. And it is fact that MI6 was reported being in Paris in the area that day. And there was a 3-hour period of time where he was nowhere to be found. According to the theory, he met with MI6 agents during that 3 hours, and they told him that he needs to get Dodi into the decoy Mercedes, but make him think that it's his idea. And the other Mercedes that was the decoy would be filled with MI6 agents disguised as paparazzi. So all he had to do was get Dodi and Diana into the right Mercedes and make him think it was their idea. And what's also creepy is that he was seen 5 or 6 times signaling to the paparazzi about an hour before she died. But apparently it went off so smoothly that he decided he wanted to continue and decided to drive. So when they went into the tunnel, there was a white Fiat that they ended up bumping into, and as soon as they do that, the car swerves a bit, and then there's MI6 agents in the tunnel that use a flashing light to blind the driver, and that's when they end up crashing. And there were multiple witnesses saying that there was like a really bright flash in the tunnel that night. But then the thing is, Diana didn't die in the crash, and that's when MI6 agents had to step in and finish the job. Because even in the official story, she doesn't die until 4 hours later, and they ended up staying in the tunnel for over an hour before they took her out. And then they drove the ambulance really slow to get to the hospital, which should have only taken like 10 or 15 minutes, but it almost took a half hour. But essentially when they saw that she actually survived and didn't have that many injuries, they think that they injected her with stuff. Now all of this comes from a investigation that was funded by Dodi's dad Muhammad, who was a billionaire. And it's over an 800-page report, and he still believes it to this day. And there's a lot more details that we're going to talk about in part 4.